everyone, to session 7, membership listserv live. So once again, how many of you were in the membership cabin? Or how many of you know what the membership cabin? Okay. And then how many of you have no clue what it is? Okay, and then that's completely cool. So the membership cabin, well, actually going back to the session we just had, like when you host, a lot of people will come up and say, "What can I help you out with?" And 90% of the time it's like, "Nothing right now." So I am coming to fellow membership staffers to ask for a favor. One thing you could all help me out with is the membership cabin itself. So basically the membership cabin started what, 3, 4 years ago? And it's basically been very manual, very grassroots, very cool though. But I think me running it has kind of run its course, meaning like I think I've taken it as far as it can go. That being said, like someone still has to be the point person for the membership cabin because like as far as Zooms and gathering the lists, I know with our new board, in particular, Melissa, who's going to be running programming, one thing I want to propose to her is have more of a structure on the website as far as where it's just like this is when it is, and you sign up for it and you get it meeting invite. So I think that will simplify it. So real quick, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyone that's been in the membership cabin, basically it's a group. Like I said, sometimes there's 8 people, sometimes there's 20 people in there, and basically we used to put out agendas, which was completely stupid looking back. We're not going to do agendas anymore. We actually, at one point, we started taking attendance. It's like, what the hell are we doing here? It was so stupid. Yeah. So what we're talking about, and there's a few of you that have been very helpful, so you guys know who you are, so I'll reach out to you. But basically, we'll have, whether it's a Google Doc running thing, basically it'll just be a running document, and like you'll just put whatever topic you want to discuss, put your name and your school, and if you're at the membership cabin, we'll just start at the top of it. And if Melissa's there and she wants to talk about student memberships or something, we'll go to her. If she's not there, we'll go to whoever's number 2. So we'll just have that as a running document. I think that's one thing that will simplify it. Where I think we could and use help, no, not could, where I do need help is basically people to help moderate it. So, because I can't always be there. And so basically, it's literally just starting the Zoom, recording it, and literally saying, "Okay, Melissa, what do you want to talk about?" And basically playing traffic talk cop. More often than not, you're just up here and saying, "Anyone else? Anyone else?" So I will be sending that email out. So if you're willing to do that, and literally, if we get 12 people to do it, you only have to do it one time each year. So I will put that ask out there. On that note, if you have any questions about membership cabin, how to make it better. So I think, obviously, I'm going to defer to Melissa with the programming VP role. But I think what we'll do is we'll do the membership cabins, and then we'll always designate one to be a campfire where we can kind of collect new people into the industry and get them connected. So does that all kind of make sense? So, okay, cool. So that's all I want to talk about membership cabin stuff. So with that, I'm going to toss it to Megan if you're ready. And I'll be honest, this is experimental. I have no clue how this is going to, and I actually have to duck out of the room. So good luck.
I mean, I can hit stop, I can hit start. I mean, we do what we want in membership. So I'm not even going to. If anybody has a question they'd like to throw out, now would be the time. If you don't, I can come up with a topic, but I thought you guys have heard a lot from me today. So anybody want to start?
So I actually have 2 questions. But first and foremost, hi, I'm Cassie. I'm with UT San Antonio. Right in September, that timer is giving me anxiety. In September, we did a merger. So UTSA and UT Health, the medical, dental, nursing schools, we combined, we merged. So right now I just took over the membership program 2 months ago. And I'm trying to figure out how to engage the health alumni and the academic alumni, like the undergraduate alumni. They're 2 different populations. How do we get both of their attentions with these campaigns? And is that possible? Or if somebody has an example of that, would be like nice.
Hi, it's one of the Ryans from from Kansas. Actually wasn't, I don't know which one was to come to, so I'm glad I came to one. We actually just merged with our medical. So our KU Medical Center had their own alumni association for many, many years. Some folks would just be an alumni of KU Medical and not of the Lawrence main campus, just depending on if they got a degree. An individual, if they got a Lawrence undergrad and then went to medical, they could then be membership of both. And that occurred for many, many years. And I wouldn't say we merged, we absorbed, and then lost 4 of the 6 staff members. But what that entailed then, our team, basically, if there was an equivalent to the medical, that some of those responsibilities kind of shifted around. We are, though, not a dues-based member organization anymore. That was kind of part of that. So we are entirely annual giving. Some of how that looks is kind of still the same, just the language is a little bit different. But what in turn was, as of like this summer, we have used since a lot of, for us, because for us, KU, like going to medical school at KU was just a big thing. People had strong opinions that like, hey, I'm an alumni of KU Med. So thankfully, and it's just our scenario that it's worked out. We had some of those alumni volunteers that were very invested who were willing to then start it as an affinity network. So that kind of is just replacing a little bit of just a dedicated small space. It's going to still be volunteer ran. They do have our full-time staff member that's going to do a lot of that support, but that still allowed them to have like a dedicated community that's just it's just for School of Medicine. So KU Med has 3 academic colleges: nursing, health professions, and School of Medicine. 99% of the time, any of the KU Med's events was predominantly School of Medicine. So they created their own affinity network, and that's being 99.9% led by those alumni volunteers and champions. And so that's turned into them planning reunion weekends, social media things, newsletters, LinkedIn. So that's allowed them to have a little bit of their own creative control without it being such a heavy administrative burden on us. But when it comes to some of those acquisitions, reaches out, there's not a ton of segmentation that we're actively doing now because we're still kind of on like the tail end of our annual giving transition. But when we do, whether it's around homecoming, we do a commencement giving campaign, we will do special segments for the School of Nursing health profession, just to give them some like craft and messaging, things that kind of allow them to celebrate from their field, especially if anyone has, for example, for us, nursing is one of our academic colleges that is very non-traditional in terms of how many years it takes you to complete. Because for our students, they'll do 2 years in the Lawrence campus, then they'll go do their upper level courses at the medical center. But sometimes that can go from a 4-year to a 9-year plan. So they have a big affinity in that space because it's a very non-traditional path where they're not at one campus for 4 years. So we've allowed to like lean into those kind of like school specific nuances that allows them to have their own community. And one thing that I've learned too, I'm going to shout out Danny from CU Boulder. I know she's not in this, but her presentation on kind of like journey personas is something we're doing a little more similar with medical, and that's actually been a really helpful tool. I talked way too long, so I'm going to shut up. But I was just like, oh, we did the exact same thing, so I just wanted to offer that.
Yay.
Hello. So at Penn State, we have the Penn State College of Medicine and Penn State Health. And we actually, the Alumni Association has a role in the College of Medicine white coat ceremony. So when they're having their white coat ceremony, we have a presence at that event. Because we give all of our graduates a 1-year free membership in the Alumni Association, and because the Hershey Medical Center, where all the students are doing all their work, is not where our main campus is, they don't have a physical connection to the Alumni Association. So we go there and we tell them about that to start engaging them, and we bring some Alumni Association stuff, and we get them excited about being alumni of Penn State, even though this may not be where they did their undergrad. And that's kind of how we start their journey with us and make that connection.
Does anyone have any other comments to add, or am I obligated to restart this timer again with a new question? Okay. New question?
Hi again. Okay, so another thing that we're doing because of the merger, we're doing a lot of changes with membership. And I know Arkansas, you have experience with this, but we're dissolving the annual membership level, and we're just going straight into a life membership model, which is the way that we're doing it right now is if they've been an annual member, they're going to get like a heavy discount when it comes time to transition. And that's coming up quickly in September 1. We're starting it. So does anybody have any recommendations on how we start that campaign, or what exactly to make sure we include, or anything like that? Since I name dropped you, sorry.
Yeah. If you haven't met me, I'm Kaylin. I'm from Arkansas. We just did that. So when I started, literally a month later, we quit annual membership. We rolled it out. We're one of those that we like to tell you a year in advance before we do something. So we told everybody, no one cared. We started with we segmented it out by years, but it was by your membership. So if you were a member for 10 out of 10 previous years, you got the deepest discount for us, which was like $500. And then we went up by year. So if you hadn't been a member in 10 years, you didn't get a discount, but then it stepped up. We did that for 13 months of giving out discounts, to where I was like, we're done giving out discounts. We will not give you any more discounts. But we did it big to everyone, let that first wave come in of those most affinity, most cared people. And then the second 6 months, we tiered it out. So we reminded the 10 years, and then we reminded the 9, 8, 7, 6. We went month by month in our campaigns, which helped a lot. But we were just really big in saying, like, you will never get a discount like this again from us. So go ahead and do it. And then we also at the same time launched, I don't know if y'all went by DME or our table, we launched our life member boxes. We weren't very good at stewardship before that. So we did a really nice box to do it as well. So that helped people also go ahead and convert, because you were getting a discount, but you were also getting a nice gift we've never given anything like before.
Anyone have anything else they want to add to dropping annual and just moving on to life? Or there's plenty of time, guys. Like, we are obligated to follow this stuff. Oh, okay, great. It worked.
Could you clarify, are you switching your annual membership to a giving model, or you're just dropping it all together? Oh, the microphone thing.
So it's going to be our life membership price is $1,000. And that's what every membership. So I think, to backtrack, every graduate is going to be considered a general member. It's going to be free. Then the life membership, $750, and the joint is $1,000.
Okay.
So everybody is going to move to that model, but the people who were annual members for 10 plus years, and we're super honest with ourselves that people only do the annual model when it comes for football, because of tailgates, because of the t-shirt that comes with it, because of everything that has to do with football, because we just got football a couple years ago and we're a D1 school now. So everybody's super excited about it. But so those people who were 10 plus years get like a 50% discount. The 6 plus years get a 30% discount. So we're looking at that model. But yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to, I didn't understand if you were switching to a giving model on annual, because that's how Kentucky and Arkansas also is we're kind of a weird hybrid.
Yeah.
So our annual is giving, but they don't have to give to the University of Kentucky.
So I think something
that kept our life membership.
I think it kind of blends in with my last question, with the health schools. previously in the last like 2 years, they did an exclusive event that was a wine tasting. So I'm taking that wine tasting event over in October, and we're making it into a life member exclusive event. We're going into like an experiential model, and we're inviting those people from the health campus to that event, saying, you love this event, right? You've been here for 3 years. Well, you're only going to be able to experience this next year by being a member. So here's how you can
That's
sign
great.
up.
Yeah, that's a great approach. And sounds like with that crowd too, hopefully it won't be a hard sell, but yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely have a presence, at that event, and, make it clear that moving forward, it's only for life members.
Mm.
I think we've been talking about a lot of that experiment, experience
Mhm.
stuff. I mean, we added something we've called Inside the Blue. I'm sorry, this is a different topic. We need to start. Right. But wondering, we just added Inside the Blue, kind of changing the topic a little bit. And it's going to be a benefit just for life members. Our first one, we did a little trial run, and it was, getting on the floor of Rupp Arena, got to see the locker rooms, and we had to shut it down because, so many people were signing up. So we have, still kind of in the process of building that program that will happen over the next year. But is anybody else doing experiential special things for life members? Any suggestions?
We're just gonna add and for sustaining life. If you have that program, do you do any kind of event for that group? I'm just curious.
Before we switch to, I would take every event that the Medical Alumni Association did, turn it into a life membership. Like, going to be an event, and then push those for the year back to them. That way they're getting ready for it, because those are your low-hanging fruits for them. It's the events they've already done.
So too, like for that, we're doing Fiesta. So in San Antonio, Fiesta in April, huge. The whole city celebrates. So we do that for the health campuses. We like purchase a space on the Riverwalk in San Antonio where they do that parade. And we're going to make that a life member event as well. And I think the annual giving team did some experiments. I don't know if I'm using the right word, but the health campus has the highest donors. Like they donate the most money, but the academic campus has the most donors that donate like small change, like $25. So I think that's where we're in a unique position to try and figure out how to get those high dollar donors to associate with the alumni association, because they've never had an alumni association before. They've never. We've just been, I guess, the health alumni association has just been like a presence, which great. They have been hosting events like this wine tasting and the Fiesta event, but it's not been a membership dues model.
Or for clarification, are you talking for events for like advancement purposes for donations? Or are you talking events for like benefits purposes? Okay. We for our life members, because again, they don't have to be, we view these benefit things, they don't have to be big, and these are clearly just benefits purposes. We just got done putting one on for our life members. That was a virtual webinar, oxymoron. We did in conjunction with our art museum on campus. We worked with some curators at the art museum. We do this annually. The curators at the museum, we did a filming with them, with our Stratcom group. We had a film crew come in and do a very nice behind the scenes filming of one of the exhibits there of fragmented histories of Andean art before the 1600s. And they put together this nice B-roll footage. And we, again, paired part of it with a membership promotion as well, saying, hey, you get the exclusive behind the look webinar curated by these, curators at the art museum. And so we said, hey, you'll get, if you join the Alumni Association, you can, because not everybody gets to come back on campus to the art museum. If you want to join, you can get this experience. So we did that. And then just a couple weeks ago was the webinar, because we met with a production team as well, the webinar team, and we put it all together. And then the curators were on camera as well, talking through the whole footage, going exhibit by exhibit, kind of giving the whole like really cool special look at all these different pieces and all the research that went into all these different things. Very cool. It's a very like niche type of thing. Because again, not everybody's into that, but some people are. Some of our members really like that stuff. And it was a registration only type of thing. So only the people who registered for it, we sent the invitations out to all of our members. And we said, again, only if you are a member do you get this exclusive registration behind the scenes event. And so that, yeah, it was really cool. It was very highly attended. We do this once a year for only our members. And those, yeah, it was very kind of like low cost in that sense. It doesn't have to be super exclusive. It actually came out because of COVID. One of the things we couldn't do a lot of like in-person benefit type of things. And we really wanted our members to be able to have some sort of experience type of thing. And during COVID, a lot of that stuff kind of shut down, especially with like our performing arts centers and stuff like that. They can't go to that because of COVID. So that was pointless to offer them discounts to shows and things like that. So we said, well, what can we do? Well, COVID necessitated that all of the things, the whole webinar experiences. And so we talked with our art museum to see if they would be interested in letting us do that. And so therefore, that's how it came about. And they kept requesting this whole webinar again and again. So.
This kind of goes along pretty nicely with what Jackie was saying, but we did a poll of our board members, just like what things could add value for them and access to spaces on campus. So our programs team actually planned like a dinner under the stars at our planetarium. So you're combining like a planetarium and something that foodies are really going to spend a lot of money for. It wasn't a member only event. There was a deep member discount and membership got in our feelings about that. But it was such a success. And we did pull in members who loved it so much that they were willing to join as life members. So I think we are going to do another round because it's a unique experience that we can give them access to. I mean, maybe a dinner in the men's locker room of basketball might not go as well, but you know, it's an option. But just access to spaces. We have concert halls, we have performing arts things that people really like, but that behind the scenes exclusivity really goes a long way.
Megan from Maryland. We have a pretty traditional membership model with annual, 3-year, and lifetime. And I was wondering for the folks that are scrapping annual memberships and just moving to lifetime, what is the data behind, raising the bar for membership that far? And because we use our annual membership as a low bar to get engagement, $55. You're a member, that type of thing. So what's the data behind losing that low price to going higher? I'm just curious because it seems like a couple people are doing it.
We did it because so we're separate 501c3 except our salaries, but we sit in the division of advancement. Our vice chancellor for advancement wanted us to be better, kind of the low step into affinity with our membership before major giving. So we work better together when we made everyone standard members. And then if you're affiliated and have the capacity enough to be a life member, you're a good candidate for our major giving officers in the colleges. But we also have a unrestricted fund. Our membership goes into our operating fund, and then we have an unrestricted operating fund. We go back to life members and we call it fundraising as being in the division of advancement. we fundraise you again for our Fund of Excellence. So we pick money back up through that, through kind of some stewardship and some pieces. That's where a lot of our pieces go, are to anyone can get them. Yes, get them if you become a life member when we do it, but if you also give us more money, we'll give it to you as well. But we did it just to be better partners with our colleagues across campus.
I can't tell you what the conversation was like with my AVP and the president. I think there was a decision made between them to kind of get rid of annual membership to make it more inclusive of everybody being a member, whether you pay or not. You have access to I guess discounted parking, you get access to the library, the rec center, all the things. But I know that the discussion was had about the missing money, where my AVP said, hey, that's $200,000 a year that we're missing out on. So that's something that our president has supplemented for us, and now is going to replace that money so that we can focus more on the life membership model of it all. And I think I can only assume that that has to do with incorporating the health alumni and making it more like an exclusive membership model.
Thanks. Thanks.
Question? We're good on changing topics? Nope, you're good.
Does anybody have a strategic plan, 3 to 5 years, specifically for your membership program? You do. I need you guys to tell me about this.
Well, we have an overall plan in membership. It's three tiers. Engagement, membership, revenue. And allegedly, we're supposed to look at all three things. So say you want to do an event. What's the membership piece? What's the revenue piece? Does it lose money? It can't lose money. So we try and look at it like that. So part of it is membership. And it's just the target is just a 3% increase in revenue and numbers.
So very similar. We do our 3-year overall. We just finished our last one this summer, starting one, but I actually was thinking about this because I know with your title with resource development, we frame ours as resource development as one of 3 pillars. So for us, it's resource development, operations, and engagement. And our last strategic plan had a little more pillars, and it was trying to be departmental. So business development, membership, and this was before the annual giving transition programs, et cetera. But then we started categorizing them in buckets because there was a lot of overlap. But we started transitioning more to like that resource development, and they're trying to make them ladder them. And because for us, even though we are 501c3, 99.9% of everything is internal except for a teeny tiny amount of state funds we get for the property that our building is on. But we have a lot of shared services with our foundation, and main campus has their own overall kind of strategic plan called Jayhawk Rising, and so we align ours with what they have. So there is a little bit of like a top-down trickle, but that resource, there are some specific, I guess, metrics that line up to that, but it does encapsulate some of that annual giving, former membership things. And it's been helpful because some of it ladders between all areas.
And I guess the one thing I'll add about our plan is that we have it. Has everybody fully bought into the membership piece? That's debatable, but the top has. And so it's kind of just like we have the instructions and then just having the conversations and trying to figure out what we can do to make membership valuable to everybody, and not just that. But I mean, I'm happy to share that with you after. But I will say that we have it. Are we doing it? Some of us are. The end.
This is going to be one I think we all deal with. We struggle right now with getting our programs and events teams to buy into membership and to understand that we can't do anything without membership. Has anybody had any success stories, good ideas, any ways to get those people to actually prioritize membership when it comes to their events. Ours just like to do events because we've always done events. And we're really struggling with getting the understanding of there has to be a reason behind this event, and there has to be a membership reason behind this event as well.
I can go. So our former CEO, who was there for a very long time, was wonderful, but did not push membership. So I think it has to start from the top down. So our new CEO that started a couple of years ago, he is very, I mean, it's a huge priority for him. And so I think he basically just told our team, this is what we're doing. Everything has to funnel into membership, which then funnels into our annual giving program. And so I work very closely with our programs or events team to incorporate membership in every event. So we either we try and have a retention and an acquisition piece into every event. So we're giving our members something at the event or a giveaway, like some sort of drawing for them. And then we're also asking, I don't know. So nothing other than just having your leadership.
So I have for a while been trying to have us do more member exclusive events where you have to be a member, and if people really want to go, they'll pay to become a member. And our events team is resistant to that because they're like, oh, but that's not inclusive. And I'm like, well, it could be inclusive if they would buy a membership. So we have kind of where we've landed. There's a few things that are member only. One thing that is member only and that is wildly successful is our Black Alumni Reunion. We do it 2 times a year, and you have to be a member to participate. And that is something that our volunteers who are helping with that Black Alumni Reunion want to happen. Like they want to see more of the people who are coming to that actually be members. So we're not like singling out a group of people and saying, you can only come if you're a member. So that's something that with volunteer help, we've been very successful at. We now always have a become a member option with all of our event registrations. So if there's a fee to attend, then members get 1 fee, non-members get a become a member fee that is the fee of the event plus a little bit of a discounted membership. And then there are some where you don't have to be a member to attend. So it's member, non-member, just so we know who you are, and then become a member. So at least that's being incorporated into it. The one thing that I struggle with is that I feel like our events team is like, oh, we have to talk to Liz about what membership is going to look like for this event. And I'm like, include it in registration and give me a table. Like I want to be able to engage people when they're there. So this past year we as an association for different events, we created exclusive pins that you could only get at certain events. And I asked if we could create an exclusive one just for members so that it could be part of the pin collection and they can come see me. I have an opportunity to steward them and thank them for being members. And I have an opportunity to engage with people who are like, oh, how do I get that pin? So we're getting there, but I think that I have a new CEO who started 2 weeks ago, and I think that he would be in favor of more of you have to be a member to attend.
To piggyback on that, a quick question. So most of our events are free. We rarely do charged events because our chapters, that's most of their events. If you guys have benefits to that, like a drawing or a giveaway, who works those events? Is that then your engagement team or events team, whatever you call your people, that are then responsible to man that table and do those things? Or do they expect you to then go to those events? I'm just curious, like those that have them, what do they do?
So for us, I've tried to make it as simple as possible. If I'm not at the event, it's typically for all of our events that we take registration for, we put a Power Cat on their name tag if they are a member. And so those are printed out in advance. Obviously we print some for walk-ups or whatever, but those are printed in advance so that our programs team can easily see and just hand them. And like my items, like you said, a pin or keychain, a koozie, like something simple, easy, small that I can pack up for them if I'm not there, and they can just hand it out at the registration table. That's not a huge extra step. And then honestly, most of our events team, has just kind of embraced the giveaway piece of it because people get excited about it at their event. So if it's not me, it's one of the people that are leading the events.
Following on the event thing, I actually have a question about payment platforms, and I don't know if anybody has the answer to this, but does anybody have an event registration platform that allows you to get new members, but also capture their payment so that you can make them auto-renewing members, which is the dream for all of my annual members? Is this technology that exists? Okay, great.
So we use Alumni Q for event registration, the membership platform, and we have an auto renewing membership. So if you were, let's say, registering for an event and it says this is the member price, this is the non-member price, not a member yet, goes right to our membership platform. You can join, and our default for an annual member is auto renewing. You have to select it, and that has been very valuable for annual memberships and keeping people our retention rate up. So Alumni Q does all those things. And then when they come into the event, we use scanners for like a big event like homecoming, and we can differentiate sort of like the cat on the name tag, that type of thing, who our members are and those types of things already.
I will be investigating that. Thank you. Yes. Mm-hmm.
It is not all on the same charge. It does go to a different module to join as a member. We see that come through. They can get the member price then, but it's not like just, $5 for the event, $25 for the membership, and then yeah, yeah. Alumni Q does have really amazing a la carte things for larger events like our Black Alumni Weekend, where we have, a full weekend of different things where you can add on things like that. So I don't necessarily say that it couldn't be done. That's not necessarily how we use it, but we have a not a member yet, and it shoots you there. You get your number, you can sign back into the registration. It may be a little clunky, but it does work.
All right. Any follow-up, or are we moving on to a new topic?
Okay, I have a question. For those of you that have moved away, like, how do I phrase this? There's so many of you that are moving away from annual memberships. We've talked about that a little bit. For those of you who got rid of or moved to like Life Plus or Life Sustaining or whatever, have you noticed, like, what was the feedback you got from your alumni? Like, I feel like this is a conversation that's starting to happen in our office of like, do we just move to Life? I know, I think it was KU I talked to last year that you said it kind of felt like it just transitioned into people were still giving that same amount, just not like called a member. So what's the feedback you guys are getting, or like, how did you handle that?
I will not put words into my beautiful staff member named Mary Bunyak, who has been at the front of that over the last couple years, or for the last year. We were a little unique where and again, preface, prior to our transition, I was not our main membership person. I run student and young alumni mostly. I'm on that programming team person. But we would like fulfill events and then have some membership. So I'm kind of wearing multiple hats. But because when we would benchmark with the Big 12, we were dead last in like annuals or people or like having just like reoccurring, but we would always be top couple in terms of life. And I think for the longest time we were focusing that so much because we noticed the trends, especially when we would benchmark other schools, like, oh, okay, these schools are doing so much better in like annuals and lower tier ones where we just couldn't get that. That wasn't working for us. And so I think since we were focusing so much time into our life and our President's Club, I think for us, it just made a natural sense of that's where our like our tailgates are only President's Club only. So even if you gave $50 or were a member at like a lower tier, you wouldn't have access to that. The magazine was honestly what we leveraged 99% of the time. That was like the one tangible thing they wanted. I think we did membership boxes way back when, but so when we transitioned, the feedback was roughly the same because the aspect was still, they're giving the same amount. We just changed that language. To kind of what I said earlier, we just changed it to say, you're now supporting, thank you for giving. And then we've really done a good job pairing with our foundation to show what that impact was a little bit more. And that's actually allowed us to gain more into that because we're having some of our students record thank you videos, or we're being better about like saying, hey, every X dollar goes to support a student to alumni mentorship. So we've actually gotten a little bit more positive feedback. Mary may say differently because she gets the email, so not talking for her. But I don't know if that's unique for us, but we really weren't that great in like lower tier. So it just didn't make sense for us long term to continue trying to push under that 1,000 range when we just weren't super successful in
that. Once we really started pushing it, I took a like very, I don't know how to say it, a certain approach of like justifying it, of like, we are trying to make an impact in these areas, and we need your additional money of a life membership, which we did tell you we're giving it to you at a very deep discount, but everything we did was not about things it was, we are elevating our impact on campus by doing this. So if you have the affinity and you want to do it, get in. If not, you're not reading our email anyway. So we really put, I mean, it is literally elevate your impact is what we said.
And I agree. I'll add to that is that we made the change in 2019 to the weird model that we have. But it's both. It's giving and dues. But the same thing. It was, you are making an impact. You get to pick where your impact is made, because their annual gift, could be to any UK fund, and we would still recognize them as an active member, and they get all the benefits. So it really was all about, you get to make this impact now. Our reactions, I mean, people were just a little bit confused, and so it was, we rolled it out for a year, the same as Arkansas, telling them, hey, this is coming. And then let me tell you, that fire sale before we raised life membership prices, that was a smorgasbord of fun. So definitely recommend that, but made it more about the impact to the university overall, and it went over pretty well.
I feel to do my 2 cents on this, when again, sorry, from Illinois, a lot of it was for Illinois' decision about annual and life membership. Again, we only do annual and life. The price of our annual and life is $150 for annual and $1,500 for life. And we recognize that is on the more expensive side as far as memberships. But when we priced those initially, and we came up when we reintroduced life memberships a couple years ago, and we put that price on annual memberships 10 years ago. And again, we recognize that was even expensive at the time. We did those things strategically and based in research. We needed to right size our prices. Everything was based in research, with the intention of not wanting to raise rates for 15, 20, 25 years, because we want to make sure that, again, life membership especially was sustainable. It needs to cover the cost of a life membership. We looked at the age of when people bought life memberships, and to be morbid, how long are they going to be alive to keep that life membership? And it needs to cover the cost of their benefits that they're getting for the duration of that time. And if they're going to be 80 when they purchase the membership, how long are they going to be allowed to keep the benefits of it? So things like that we put into consideration for the price of that, rather than if they're 20 years old being gifted a life membership. And we have to build that into consideration. But yes, everything of that nature was taken into consideration for that. But yes, everything has to be sustaining, including the price of it. And we did not want to raise the price 2 years later, and then 5 years after that, and then 2 years after that. That was not acceptable. And again, we need to cover our costs. We do not like those calls from the foundation saying, hey, you are losing money. It's just not acceptable. So we have to right size our annual costs, and we have to right size our life member costs, because those things are extremely important to us. So yeah, we need to do those things. So I would highly recommend making sure that when everyone is pricing your memberships, that you like are honest with the all of your research, and say okay, is $10 an appropriate cost for an annual membership? Probably not, unless you're going to be selling 50,000 of them. If you can't do that, then it's probably not the right cost for that annual membership, and then annual membership's not for it. And so that's why another reason why we had to get rid of our free new grad memberships, because we were losing money on them. So, and we just can't be losing, $20,000 on free memberships for every new grad. Our board got mad at us.
So I didn't answer your original question. We didn't hear a lot of pushback, but we also kind of dove headfirst into it completely. So we also have a scholarship program that matches our out-of-state tuition, whatever the school gives. We also made that you have to have a legacy connection. So before it was annual member or whatever, we switched that to life member only. And parents will call. It's a big deal. They want it. Parents will call and would call and say, and we'd say, well, you need to be a life member now. And it's they're not going to not let their parent. We're like, you're investing in your child, like literally your child. So they would groan, and then they would give us $30,000 because they want their kid to have a scholarship. No, nope. They just have to have a legacy connection to the Alumni Association. Yep.
I've been instructed to switch gears just a tiny bit here. So to help the programming committee plan a little bit better for next year, are there any I'm obviously noticing some themes here through this discussion, but are there any topics that you wish you would have been able to hear from a school about that will help us plan better for next year? Getting rid of membership, apparently.
Never.
I don't know about everybody else, but there were some things that were brought up this year within other talks. And I know we've done them a couple of times in past camps, but one that's probably a little bit data driven, or segmentation, like down into the kind of the little bit of the weeds. Obviously, we're all a little different, but we're all very similar too. So maybe some things like that might be something. And like I said, it's purely because I've heard some things. I'm like, ooh, I wish I had more information about that. So.
Sorry, just to tack on to that, like I keep thinking, I might have dreamed about it last night. The presentation that Christina did with all that data and the dashboard and like all that. I'll do a little plug for Teutoburg. They just quickly pulled together a retention rate report for me. That is the first report of its kind that I've seen in the last 10 years of my role, because my data person never did anything like that. But like, I would love to just like, if we could talk about what systems we're using and how we generate those types of reports and kind of get to that place, because I do think that a lot of us probably do throw spaghetti at the wall and see if it sticks. And if we had better ways to analyze our data and to visualize it in a different way, then maybe we're making better decisions and not spending as much money while we're trying to bring in money.
So I'll
Totally
send you a
agree.
copy link to my daily Excel, is what I'm hearing from you.
Yeah, after Christina's, I was like, I don't have Salesforce. What do I do now? So, oh, well, cool. Apparently we're moving. Oh, you have one.
We're about to start Marketing Cloud, so we'll tell you next camp how it goes. I have a couple, and y'all could be like, Ryan, you're so silly. We already talked about that. That'd be totally fine. I would be curious if for those, one, if you have your own facility when it comes to an event services, whether you're and how you're using that outside of your own internal programming. So like we have our own building, we do our own tailgates, but we also use it as an event services for anything. We've recently kind of centralized a little bit of hospitality across campus. And so we're kind of one of the figures that like if the camp version for bankers associations were coming here, they would go through us and use our facilities. So I'd be curious of like how you all use that even through a revenue stream or just as a way to use your own alumni facility as a asset, even as not directly related to your own alumni or constituents directly. And then two, any awards in like recognition programs. I have a portfolio of about 9 to 12 different awards ranging from students to alumni volunteers and some donors. And so it sometimes turns up closer. Sorry. It sometimes is like a little stewardship opportunity, but there are some like assets involved, whether it's from a sponsorship lens. Some of it used to be like a member only awards recognition. And so I just would love conversations, whether that's platforms you're using, best ways to create awards and recognition opportunities, whether that's directly with your like marketing team or if it's just one you're using for a particular group. We'd love to chat with folks.
So my thing that I just learned about personas while I'm here, I've never heard about them before, and I messaged our marketing person asking if she knew about it, and I don't think she does. So I would love to hear more about personas and how they're utilized in a membership space when it comes to talking to different alumni generations and stuff. I know we touched on it a little bit, but I'd maybe like to hear more about that.
And feel free, if, put you on the spot, but, feel free to email any of us on the programming team for sure. And let us know as you think of other topics so we can make sure we cater to y'all.
And if you don't think it's like enough for a full session, we talk about whatever at the membership cabin.
Yeah.
So if some of it's just a roundtable conversation and we don't need a whole presentation, the membership cabin is our forum to do this throughout the year. Okay, well, thank you to everybody who did the work in this session for us because, we wanted you to have time to come together and talk and share with each other because that's really the beauty of camp. So I always thank you to our sponsors. They tell us to do that because without the sponsors, we wouldn't have the camp. And then I think we move along now to our next thing. Ice cream. That.